Evening, everyone. We are live Thursday night on the weekend debrief. We're back from the Euros, and well, what a week! And it was at the Hoodie Arena. So we're going to talk about my experiences with the Hoodie Arena. Second time I've been there, running my X-ray, and I was running X-ray last time around as well. So give you some insights on how the car went. Also some insights into some new product that are coming from some manufacturers, which was nice to see. Got a sneak peek on that. And also I've managed to capture some footage of the A final modified, where that decision was made by Javier Garcia from EFRA to let Michael or Alex Hagberg let his spot back through. So I've got some footage, and hopefully I can make it all work. Got some zoomed in, some various overtakes, and obviously the beauty of hindsight and technology. So it'd be good to maybe hear your thoughts and discussions on what you think of the videos that you see. So the week started on Thursday. For me, I flew out with my good friend G on the BA flight, and we took a hire car up to Trenching, and being the smart ass that always uses Waze, of course we landed all toll roads on motorways, etc. But for some reason, should I say, Waze took us on the A road all the way to Trenching, so we got to see the back streets of Slovakia and Vienna, which was always interesting. Took us about 3 hours to get there. Hire car from Avis, got a cheeky little upgrade SUV, which was good. The flight was £280. We flew business class. Reason for that is obviously I only fly business class, but no, that is not the case. Business class ticket was 280, and I think a regular class ticket was like 220. And for the extra £60, you got an extra bag, and the allowance was like 32 kilograms. So it was well worth doing it with all the kit that we took. And the hire car was £330 for the 4 days, split between the two of us. Obviously made it a little bit more cost effective flying and sharing with your pal. And then we stayed 4 nights at the Grand Hotel, which was in the middle of Trenching, which was great. A few of the other English guys, Ollie Payne, Morgan and Steve and Chris House, they stayed further out of the town, or certainly further out from where we were staying. We were staying right in the centre of town. And so there was myself, G, Mark Payne and his lovely wife Audrey, who were staying in the same hotel. So we all met at the track. Obviously, along the way, feel free to find me any questions. Let me know where you're watching from. It's always good to hear from you. Got a few of you on already. Tim Jansen, Tim, great to see you, buddy. Good evening. It was nice to meet you too, Tim. Tim was sitting across the way from me, introduced himself. It was good to catch up with him. I think we were in the same final at the end of the week, which was good. And so we on the Thursday, it was just about booking in, well, not even booking in, just sort of signing a bit of paper just to register to say that you were there. There was no well, I think you did a bit of technical inspection. I got some batteries done and the chassis done, the motor done. I mean, it was just a case of looking at a piece of paper. Is it on the list? Yes, it is. Job done. There was no, like with the Worlds, I think they actually took our motors apart, checked those. They would check the wing height when you went on the track. It was a little bit more relaxed, I would say, technical inspection, or maybe it meets the regulations, but it certainly seemed a lesser or less intense inspection of your equipment compared to the Worlds that I'd done before. So Thursday there was no running. Nice to catch up with a few different people and just sort of have a look around. Some of you would have seen the video and the recap of the Hoodie Arena. Spoke to Alex Hagberg. He was trying some new stuff on his car. Tried to get an interview with. I did get an interview with Mark Reinhard. I asked him in the Truing room. He said he was up for it. Went to look for him. He had gone. And really, by wanted to get him at the start of the week. And of course, they're long days, and I'm very conscious I don't want to get involved in people during the day when they're racing. There's obviously highs and lows, and actually you don't really get as much time as you think you are going to get between runs. Anyway, cheers. Gin and tonic, Pinksters, for those of you who haven't tried it, very, very nice. Raspberry and rhubarb tonic, Fever Tree. Anyway, cheers. Double Golding, if you don't know. Barry Lynch said make sure that you're on the gin and tonics, just so that you keep it loose. Anyway, so gonna keep it loose. So anyhow, Shane Mark Reinhard, couldn't get hold of him, but obviously bigger fish to fry than me. We spoke to. I was going to speak to Ollie Payne as well, but he had nicked out and got some McDonald's, so missed that opportunity, unfortunately. And of course, I'm also conscious of the fact that I want to do well myself, and so whilst I'm trying to bring as much content as I can to you guys, I still want to be able to perform or not myself. So spoke to Alex Hagberg, spoke to G, two ends of the spectrum, obviously. G and myself, the experience that we have compared to an Alex Hagberg. Alex was trying some prototype stuff on his car, which was great to see. He showed me a few other bits, which I'm not really going to talk about, but there's new stuff coming for the 2023 car, which is great. Again, more upgrades. It's not going to be a wholesale change, but if you watched the final on the Sunday, you would have seen that obviously the car was in really good form, and you'll see it on the videos that I'm going to show you in a little while as well. So Max Mackler as well. Wanted to have an interview with him. I think he was having a chat to Mr. Automatics himself at the time, and sort of gave me the shake of the head, said he couldn't do it, and obviously I didn't get around to interviewing him the second time. So hopefully next time around we'll get interviews with these guys. I'm sure we will do. So Thursday passed by. The car I was pretty much set up already by the time I got there, but it was just about sort of doing a little bit of tyre truing, cutting body shells, just making sure they all fit, and just chewing the cud really, and just taking in the sights and sounds of the Hoodie Arena, which was nice. Obviously managed to get a decent spot for the stream as well, which was cool. Really nice to be high up and be able to get a good viewing. And I think it's been quite interesting actually that people have messaged about it's really nice to have a stream where you can see the whole track and see all of the cars. I think the trouble with obviously footage where RC Racing TV, they do a fantastic job of course, but they're following the action, they're following the leaders, and I don't think necessarily if you're someone that's in third or fourth position, you don't actually get to see your car, and you don't get to see how your car's looking or anything like that, because obviously they're following individual cars. So I think that's something maybe going forwards that it doesn't take much to put up two streams, one stream of the full track and one stream of the actual live commentary. I think that might be worth something thinking about going forwards. On to Friday, it was practice day. There were 4-minute runs of practice, which made life quite intense because there were 11 heats. There were 3 GT12 heats. Then there were 4 stock heats, and then there were 4 mod heats. 8, 9, 10, 11, that's it. So it kind of rolled around really quite quickly. I was in heat 2 of the 12 scale, and I reseeded in heat 3 of 12 scale, which was the B heat effectively. And the practice runs were useful. My car was great. I went there with a very clear agenda, sort of take it easy, build myself in, and not do too much with the car. I've got a nuts and bolts set up, and so it was great. First 2 rounds, car felt good, no issues, and then I went down, threw some tyres up. I was using a Blackheart BA10, the new one, which I got the 0.375. I mean, Jesus. I mean, it was like paper. So if you're out there, I mean, Dave Spashett did warn me, the BA10 is a piece of paper. But I thought, go for it, go with it. So I've got 3 of them, but listen, they're wafer thin, so be careful out there. They do a 0.375, they do a 0.5, so go with the 0.5 would be my recommendation. But if you're looking to save weight, go with the BA10, the super lightweight. It's ridiculous. It's the lightest shell. Oh no, I just binned them all afterwards. I was going to show you. Anyway, and I was using Hagbergs as well. So I went there, wanted to stick with one tyre, Hagbergs, even though I should have used contact tyres. But let me tell you, there's a story behind that. So stay tuned to find out about that. Because what I wanted to do is I didn't want to go there second guessing everyone's. And when I was truing tyres in the truing room, everybody was truing up Hagberg red dots. I mean, there was a bin like hip high and it was all full of red dots, and you couldn't get red dots anywhere. I got mine from somewhere which I'll remember, but I can't remember. They had 9 sets left and I bought all 9 and took them away. So I trued those up, took the BA10, took AMR as well, stuck my setup on, did 2 runs, car was great, no problem at all. Then I went down and did some truing, and Mr. Hagberg pulled himself in. I said, "Hey Alex, how you doing?" And we had a bit of a conflab, conversation about how he's setting his car up and how the stock guys are. And that's where my weekend took a turn for the worse, and it's absolutely not Alex's fault. But I went back to my pit table and I thought about the stuff that he had talked about. One of them being the pivot, where the pivot was, because you can move it forwards or backwards with the long or short pivot with the X-ray. But I moved it into a position that everybody in the team was running. Everybody was running the team, was running the pivot in this certain spot. And so I obviously would go, well, if everyone's running it there, it must be right. So anyway, so I left it there the whole weekend, and my car was just an animal to drive. Now, I like an aggressive car, like the best of people, or what seems to be the trait of a fast driver. But let me tell you, it went from having no steering to then all of it mid-corner, which was horrible. And I basically worked around the whole of this situation all weekend, calling upon all ideas, really. But stupidly, I tried the AMI. It was a bit better with the AMI, and it was quick, but it was just hard to drive, man. It was for like 8 minutes. It felt like, I was going to say having dinner with the mother-in-law, but in case the mother-in-law's watching, I love my mother-in-law. It was hard work, put it that way. Geraldine, I love you. So then I went down and saw some of the other guys and went down and spoke to them, and I stuck with it. And so after qualifying was done, of which I qualified almost last, but I was in the C final. I was like 8th in the C final. After a night's sleep, I thought, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go straight back to the setup that I turned up with, straight back to how I'd been running it pre-Chesterfield, because Chesterfield, there was stuff that I was trying on the back of Alex as well. Again, not Alex's fault. It's my fault for doing these things. And there is something that I always tell people is find your own way if you can. And so I was just reading a comment from Andrew Thompson, so I'll read it out in a minute. So I put the pivot back, and on Sunday morning went out and practice and put T-foam on, which I'd been running all year, and it was a thing of joy. It was like, it was just glorious to drive. Easy, bit pushy, changed the pivot back, and now all of a sudden I gradually turned up the steering until my final run, where the car was a weapon. I did my fastest lap of the weekend with an AMR, and it was just easy. And so in the first final, I was qualifying 8th, and I just drove around everyone and won the final. In the second leg of the C final, drove around everyone and won it. And in the third final, I drove around everyone and won it. And there was my good friend Mark Payne. I might get in trouble for this. I hope I don't, but I'm going to share it with you anyway because it's on camera. So I'm in my final, in the C final, and I'm driving along, and Mark's standing right next to me. And the Hoodie Arena, the last time around when we went there, we just smashed our cars up the whole weekend. I didn't finish one run. I finished in the bottom final. It was a nightmare. So I've only improved once, but I had 2 retirements in this as well. So the car wasn't faultless in terms of braking stuff. It was tweaking its pod still, which is really annoying. And so Mark's standing next to me, and he smashes his car up. Mark's had a much better weekend. He's using the Automatics, brilliant. And so Mark's standing next to me, and Tim Jansen standing next to me. It was Tim Jansen standing next to me, who's online now. And Mark goes to me, you know it's not the done thing to win 3 finals in a row. And so I'm going around, and I'm sort of not bored, but I'm like 5 minutes in, I'm like leading easily. And beyond the commentators saying, oh, Stu shows how you can win a final from the back of the heat, etc., etc. And so it's going really nicely. And Mark Payne, a few meetings ago, tried my X-ray out, and he didn't particularly like it. And I thought, for whatever reason, I don't know, there was something, anyway, he didn't like it. So I thought, I tell you what I do, I let him have a go. So I pulled over, I said, there you go, have a go with that. And so he finished the last 3 minutes of my run. So if you go to the C final, the third leg, go to the finals third leg, go to the C final, you'll see about 5 minutes in, I pull over and hand my transmitter to Mark. Now, this is where we can all learn something. So my car was so easy to drive for me. Mark shat his pants. I mean, G had retired, and he was watching my car go around. And then I handed it over to Mark. He said it suddenly went from looking like your car going nicely to looking like my car, or as in his car, like a bag of shit. He said it was unbelievable. He said, I can't believe it suddenly went like that. But of course it was Mark driving my car with my setup on, and he couldn't drive it. And so that, in a nutshell, is kind of what all this is about, isn't it? I mean, it's about finding your own way, but understanding fundamentally what these bits of setup do for the car. The experience that I had was that I went down to the fucking drawing room, spoke to Hagberg, who is a maestro and a genius, and he said what everybody's doing. But of course, like my mum said, you're not like everyone, Stuart. You are special. I put on Alex's fucking setup and drove my car like I'd never driven before. It was honestly a bag of shot. I was a moving chicane for 6 rounds. I need some more rhubarb and custard. And I did that for 6 rounds. And I'm so annoyed. It's unfunny. But, you know, you make your choices and on you go. But it was a track that was brilliant. I mean, there was some high tariff sections. And on that, let me just read through. Got some questions on the chat here. So Andrew Thompson, if it was so aggressive you didn't like it, it scares me what you were trying to drive. Now, those of you that know Andrew Thompson, he drove my GT12 car years ago down the straight at Maritime and couldn't get it down the straight. It was so twitchy. So he's experienced my aggressive car. Tim Jensen, I did the fastest lap also on the last final but your car was so quick. Thank you, Tim. But good to see that you did your fastest lap as well in the final. Johnny Joe, can I ask if you lengthened or shortened the pivot to make it aggressive like that? Have I got? It's difficult. So if you've got the chassis, hang on. I will just get my car, because some people say it's lengthened and some people say it's shortened, but I lengthened the pivot. But I'll show you. I've still not unpacked. So here is the car. Here is the car. So that's where I raced it at. So the pivot is short. So those spaces in there are short. Where I was running it was with a long pivot. Now, there's a bone of contention here, because anyway, I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to go into that. Anyway, that's where I was running in answer to your question. I hope that helps. Tim Jansen, hard parts were flying indeed. Was fun to see in the corner of my eye to see the transmitter change. Yeah, that was brilliant. Jimmy, Tony Wade, nice tipple. Thank you very much, sir. Cheers. So, all in all, it was a cracking weekend. I really enjoyed it. Hotel was fantastic. The Grand Hotel, 4-star in the middle of town. Perfect. Went to this beer garden every night. Ate sausage. G ate pickled sausage, and I ate roasted sausage and bloody burgers and all that kind of stuff. So it was a great weekend, Mark. And let me tell you, the massive new mascot for 12 scale racing in the UK is Audrey Payne. She's an absolute darling, and I must show you. Are you ready for it? I must show you. Look at that. Look at that silverware or goldware. Now look, every single trophy that I've ever got, I've thrown away. But there's something that's made me keep this one. So I might keep that one. I don't know why. It's unlikely though. It's unlikely. So that's the kind of a roundup for me. How did G get on? G struggled, being honest, but it's always difficult to get a positive word out of G. If you know G, he does seem to be sort of glass half empty kind of guy. So it's difficult to truly know. But we had a giggle. You know, we kid around for fun all the time. Moving on to so stay tuned, because I've got some video replays of the overtaking and the final of Alex Hagberg against Michael Orlowski. A bit of capture just to see what you think of the various, because there were 3 incidents in the race which I'll talk about in a little bit. Some really nice new stuff coming. Michael Orlowski was using a prototype car. Andy Murray was there, and Nathan Goodban was there. They were helping the team with Jorn Neumann. That's it, Jorn Neumann. Easy for me to say. They were looking after his car. It was really funny at the end of the weekend. Michael's just standing there and everyone's just tidying up. It's like the way. Yeah. So G obviously thought, well, listen, how do I sort of get an employment team to come along and do that for me? But listen, the new car looks fantastic. I thought on track, the car, I think they used something different in the second final that Michael won, but the car compared to Alex's looked like it had way more mid-corner traction and drive. The car looked nimble, and you've probably seen it on the videos. It looked fantastic. Michael's a bit of a robot, isn't he? He doesn't seem to put a foot wrong, as does Alex. But it was super close racing. And I'm gonna crop the A final, and I'm gonna put them up on the channel very soon, so that you can all enjoy those independently rather than having to search through the feed. So that was great. that's really the only new stuff that I saw. I know Ollie Payne was sampling new stuff as well. I think notables. Morgan Williams had another fantastic event. He did well in the. He made the A final in the Worlds. Didn't do so well in the 2019 Euros, but he's done well this Euros, and he made the A final, back of the A final, and he really had an opportunity to, in his final, to move up and challenge for a podium in the first run. I think it was, he got off to a nice steady start, built some momentum. A few people made mistakes, got up into fifth, I think he did, and then made a mistake unfortunately and dropped back. And then his other two finals didn't go possibly the way you wanted to, but obviously showing great signs moving forwards with his 12 scale and his Roche car. As I think Ollie came away a bit disappointed. I think it was a bit funny with Ollie. I think there were moments where he was showing real good speed, and then there were moments where he just couldn't get it. And like Michael and Michael Lowski and Alex and Mark Reinhardt, to a degree, they always felt like they had just a little bit more in the tank than Ollie did for whatever reason. But Mark Reinhardt didn't look like the same formidable competitor that he did at the Euros. You obviously using a different car, using the automatics instead of the Schumacher that he was using at the Worlds in Milton Keynes. Read into that what you may, but I mean, Mark looked like syrup going round, and I think there's nothing between the three or four of them when they've got the right car, the right setup, and it's all firing, because they all were looking incredibly quick in the finals. So a big thanks to Andy Murray for showing me obviously the prototype car. Obviously I'm tight-lipped on what I saw, but be sure that they're obviously making plans for something new to come out back end of this year, ready for the nationals and the winter season, which is great to see. Nice to see more development coming for that car that's already very successful, of course. Automatics, I think Max Mackler obviously had a good weekend. I think he was top 5, so he'll be very proud of that in stock class, and with Mark finishing 3rd in the mod class. I think that's a nice solid performance with a really good car. Obviously 2 good drivers, another good opportunity to run a chassis that's very different, but obviously clearly got very good performance in it. So you've got X-Ray, Schumacher, Automatics and Roche, 4 chassis in the top 4, which is great, isn't it? I mean, if you're top 4 in any Euros or Worlds, it is a chassis that has got pedigree. So I think it's good for the class that we're seeing a mix of chassis in the event. We were very fortunate to take a trip around the X-Ray factory, which was spectacular. Matu, the guy that looks after all the social media, took myself, G, Mark Payne and Audrey Payne around. It was very funny, I must tell you. So we're walking through when you're in the Hoodie Arena, when you're down the bottom where all the trophies are and sort of tech inspection are. As you come down the stairs, if you turn left and you keep walking, there's a door that takes you through to the offices out the back, and we walk through the door, and then you go into the sort of the foyer of the offices, and Girage Hoodie walks through the front door, and Mark Payne's got a coffee in his hand. And he sees Girage, he's got his crash out on, he's just ridden in his bike, and he's got Team X-Ray, like a lycra kind of biker's top, and he's gone running over. He's gone, Girage, nice to see you. And on the floor is a black marble step that you can't see, and he's kicked it. It was like it happened in slow motion. This coffee went up in the air, and it was like, no. Anyway, this is Girage, and it goes all over the floor. But it was like the owner of Hoodie and X-Ray just walked through the front door, and he's got this Englishman running at him with a hot steaming coffee. It was so funny. Everyone laughed, and we pressed on. But then we went into the factory, and we looked at all the CNC machines. They're like 800,000 euros a CNC machine, and they had like 15 of the things. I mean, it's ridiculous. The factory is insane. walked us all around, where all the different components, and just walking past, we were walking back out, and there's like a mold for one of the X12 chassis was just sitting on the side, and just seeing how it all is put together, and it's the incredible facility. And if you ever get there, do make a point of sort of tapping someone on the shoulder to see if you can get a walk around, because it was really spectacular to see all of the various places where obviously all the kits are put together and where they're made and how they're anodized, and saw the area where they film the social media stuff, and the area where they create the accounts and management meeting rooms, all that kind of stuff. It's just interesting, sort of, it's offices at the end of the day. But then when you go downstairs and then you see where all the action happens, and you're seeing like wheels being made and chassis being made and plastic turnbuckles and plastic moldings and all that kind of stuff being made, and like all the recycling that they do, and the waste materials and how it gets reused and all that kind of stuff is fantastic. I mean, what a great opportunity to see that on your travels in a place like in a place of like Slovakia, to see something, a building that is obviously a RC mecca. So that was kind of the weekend in a nutshell, and of course it culminated in quite a dramatic finish. And hopefully I can show you now some footage. You're gonna have to bear with me. This is obviously and I hope it doesn't mess up the stream, like all these things do as you start streaming different content. But if it does, I apologize. But hopefully I wanted to bring you some insights into 3 separate incidents within that second leg. And look, I'm not suggesting the decision was wrong in any way, shape or form. I think Javier Garcia, and I said I had breakfast with Javier on the day we came home, and I said to him, because I've been fairly critical of Javier in the past, and I've had a few words for him on the rostrum. And as having been a referee, it is not easy. And if you have ever had a go at ref and you've never refereed before you go and have a go, perhaps have a think about trying a bit of reffing yourself, because it's not easy to make decisions at that moment. So the stuff that I'm about to show you is in hindsight, but I think also we need to, when you're reffing and when 2 guys are going at it, unless it's bleeding obvious, I think let them go at it. Let them race it out, because I think I think that might be the way to go. But anyway, see what you think. So the first one I'm going to show you is in the start. This was the first overtaking move that Alex made on Michael Orlowski, which didn't get overturned, didn't get told to be given back. He doesn't get asked to give that place back, and I think that's quite interesting in itself. That bit of footage there, which I'm sort of trying to get up and still talk over the top of it, of which I am finding difficult to do. So let me just try that once more. No, I can't. But hopefully you've seen that. I mean, if there's an instance where a position needs to be given back, you would say that was it, wouldn't you? I mean, that was a pretty formidable overtaking maneuver that should have been given back. Now, The second one I'm going to show you is Alex overtaking Michael, and then Michael having his way with Alex, because what you're about to see, and I'll play it a couple of times, and unfortunately for some reason I can't get my voiceover on it, so I'll have to work out why that is. But when you see this, just notice that when Alex overtakes Michael, Michael then clips Alex's car. He throws Alex off. So here you go, I'll play it for you. So you can see in that instance, when Alex was overtaking Michael, Alex was through and Michael took Alex out. But it's happening like that, isn't it? I mean, what chance you got? Ref is over on the other side, etc., etc. So I think it's a really tough decision to be getting involved with. Now, neither of those incidents were interfered with. Javier left that alone. Now, the problem is the third one that I'm about to show you that has got 20 seconds left on the clock, or 30 seconds left on the clock, that was the one that he chose to step into and make a judgment call on and ultimately decide the European Championships. So here we go. I'm going to play this one for you, which you probably will have all have seen anyway. Now, for me, that's a 50-50. I think with the other two on the back of that, I think that all should have been left alone because there'd been rubbing and racing and touching. I think that I think it should have been left alone. I think you should have just walked away from it, and Alex would have driven off, and it would have gone into leg three. Again, if that had been leg three, would you have got involved? Difficult, but should have probably got involved in the other two. So, I'm not saying that the decision was wrong. I just think that potentially, I think you either make a call on all of them or none of them, and I think that was the difficulty. But of course, it was happening at high speed, and it was a decision that needed to make at the time. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to play all three through for you and see if you notice any difference, because I think that's quite interesting. It's interesting, isn't it? I think it gives you a different perspective of what went on in that race. All three incidents were much the same, I think. I don't think there is any one that's more weighted to either car. I think it's two guys going at it, and I think that's the way probably Michael sees it and Alex sees it. But there was a decision made that went someone's way and not the other. So anyway, well done, Michael, for winning the European Championships. Alex has won it loads of times anyway. He'll win it again. So anyway, so it was all in all a very good weekend, and I think Toscal was once again the winner. Any questions you've got from the week? There's a good few of you on. If you can, while you're all here, hit the like button, because there's only 3 likes, and as you all know, it really makes the stream and the algorithm get spread further and wider. So it'd be massively important if you could hit the like button, because it would be really very much appreciated. From my perspective, I'm gonna be giving 12 scale a bit of a miss. I'm selling some stuff on Facebook. I'm selling both my X-ray cars. I'm gonna be selling some motors and some various other bits just to have a clear out and get ready for the new season. On the other side of summer, I'll be running buggies. The confirmed dates for the New York GP. Let me just double check that I've got these dates perfect. They are October the 7th to the 9th, the New York GP. I think that's quite a poignant event between you and me, and don't tell anyone. I think the Worlds is going to be in New York by all accounts. I don't know whether I'm allowed to say that, but I've said it. So if you're looking to participate in the Worlds in January, February, March, whenever they might be, the New York GP might be a good event to go and attend. I do an Airbnb, flights, again, depending on how you fly, £500-600, and it's a great weekend. They have racing from about 11 o'clock and through till 5 or 6 o'clock, and either side of that is open practice, so you could practice well into the night until midnight if you like. I do, being the addict that I am. And then that runs Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then fly home Sunday night or Monday. But it's a great event, loads of practice, loads of track time. Unfortunately, they run loads of classes. That's the only downside. I think you get 4 rounds of qualifying and a final, I think, something like that. So that's a good event. I had dinner with Jose Garcia from EFRA and the other chap with glasses. Don't know who his name is, and I don't know what his name is, but it was in all of the photos at the Euros. And I was saying to him, where have you got in mind for the Euros next year? And they said they've got nowhere else. And I said, what are the sort of prerequisites for hosting a Euros? And they said there aren't really, you just need to be able to hold 100 people. Now, I know MB Models holds 100 people, and I'm sort of putting it out there, and I haven't spoken to Michael in any way, shape or form, but wouldn't it be good if we hosted a Euros at MB Models? I think it would be fantastic that such a great venue and such a great shop would host a Euros in the UK. And so I'm going to speak to Michael, and maybe someone will speak to him before I get to him, but I'm going to ask him and see if he'd be interested in doing that. I think there has to be communication from what I got off the EFRA guys. There has to be communication from Michael and the BRCA, and then the BRCA putting it to EFRA. And I think there would be some good appetite from EFRA to host the Euros in the UK. Cheers. And I don't think it needs to be at Milton Keynes, because I think that is a big deal, which is great, which a Euros is. But it makes everything way, way more difficult. I think if you can just put it at somewhere like MB Models and host the Euros, Chesterfield could host the Euros. And I think the people's perspective or expectation of hosting a Euros is one that needs to be more along the Hoodie Arena line. What I said to the guys at EFRA were the UK, because we were hosting the Worlds, the UK suddenly came alive with 12 scalers. People that weren't normally running 12 scale were running 12 scale because they knew they had a chance of getting in the Worlds, and I think that's can only be good for the class in the UK. And so hopefully we can get a Euros in the UK. I think that would be really, really good. I think that would be something that we could all embrace and enjoy and look forward to and bolster the national setup. I don't think it would take much, certainly, to host it at MB Models. It's there, it's ready, isn't it? Open the front doors, turn up, have a go, you're done. I mean, that's it, really. I mean, it needs no more than that. Entries and bit of communication backwards and forwards. But other than that, I think it would be a good opportunity. So watch this space. I'm going to speak to Michael and hopefully we can get the ball rolling on that one and see if we can get any interest, because I think that'd be really good for UK racing in 12 scale and everything else. If we haven't got any more questions, so I have got questions. Tim Jansen says, going all new X-Ray next season or maybe something else? I'm not going to say, Tim, but to say that I'm fed up with pods. Tim, Christ by I think. I don't know what that means. Barry Lynch, are you sober? I am still sober. I've only had one, but it was like a triple or a quadruple. So I am getting there. I'm sort of feeling it a little bit, Bazza. What are you? Are you drinking? Tony says the new buggy is good. Good for you. Matthew White, last Euros in UK was 2010, I think, in Hinckley. Before that, 2000-ish in Boston. Good old Boston. I mean, Boston, that is in the middle of Nowheresville. I mean, if there is... it was great that it was there, but Nowheresville. Wouldn't it be good... wouldn't it be good to get it at MB Models? Barry Lynch says, I'm with my wife. You need a drink. I've got a drink. Barry. Have you not been seeing? This is Pinkster's gin with rhubarb and raspberry tonic. Fever Tree, don't you know? Christ was the other EFRA person. Gotcha. Christ was the other EFRA guy. That's the chap. Is he chairman or something of EFRA? I'm just looking on my laptop here. I've got an incredibly big nose. It's terrible news about that. I must get a nose job. Anyway, so the good news is about the channel. Massive income going on. The whole £30 for this month, and loads more subscribers. Hit the like button. There's loads of you on. There's only 10 likes for you, so you have hit the like button. But keep on clicking it if you can. There's 28 of you watching. Hit the like button. It'd be great. No, I mean, with a wife like mine, you'd need to be on the drink. Oh no, Barry, your wife, she must be lovely. You're a lovely man. Now, Barry, we've got to get Barry. Now, in the future, I mean, I've got this streaming sorted now. I don't know if you know, but the quality of the stream oh, that's the other thing I was going to say to you. The quality in the stream was in the Euros was brilliant, wasn't it? But when they wrapped up the Euros, as I posted on the page actually, they started streaming my coverage through all of the TVs in the Hoodie Arena. How proud was I? I mean, brilliant. Had the old Zen Racing logo up and X-Ray logo up there and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. So it was really good fun. And by the way, all of the logos that I put up on the stream, the reason why I put those logos up is because the stream didn't work for the On-Road Podcast race series. So I thought that it would be the good thing to do was to use the Euros as a thank you for those people that supported. So it was TQ Wire, Zen Racing and Roche. They all got a day of advertising, and of course X-Ray I put up there because I'm an X-Ray guy, and and the Hoodie Arena, I thought it was a nice thing to do. So that pretty much wraps it up. What's next for me? As I say, I'm backing up 12 scale for the time being. The next time I'm going to be on a track will be at the shootouts in September. I'm going to be doing most of the 10th scale buggy nationals, which I'll be streaming. So if you're a buggy guy, you'll be able to see those here, just the 2-wheel drive stuff. I'll be doing some more videos, hopefully, as we go on, and hopefully by the end of the year, we might have £1,000 in the pot, which will go towards the event. As I say, I'm putting wheels in motion. I still haven't had anyone that wants to bite my hand off to host the event in October. So all the time it's like that, I can't really go any further with it. But I'll keep pushing away with that. But for now, that pretty much covers the weekend debrief. I'm not sure I'll do these on a regular occasion. Maybe I'll do them fortnightly or tri-weekly, just to give you a little catch up with everyone on the channel. But hopefully you enjoy them. I know I do. It's all a bit of fun. And for those of you that have liked the stream, thank you. Those of you who haven't, thank you. Hit the like button if you can, share and subscribe. And listen, have a great summer, everyone. I'll see you on the channel sometime soon. And look after yourselves. All the best. See you soon.